The first two, yes, you've guessed it. The Just Stop Oil morons take 56. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak held a summit with event organisers and national sporting bodies today to discuss how to stop these cretins from wrecking our summer of sport. He told the Sun newspaper that Johnny Bairstow, the cricketer, had some bright ideas for fixing this blight. Here's a reminder of what Bairstow did.
Johnny Bairstow just waving to the dressing room. Maybe it's his gear.
Well, that's the way to do it. And you throw him over the sidelines like a piece of trash, which is what they are, frankly. Will play inevitably on Court 18 at Wimbledon, was briefly suspended twice today when Just Stop Oil protesters scattered orange confetti and jigsaw puzzle pieces over the court.
Wait, please.
Oh, no.
Players in.
Once more.
And another disruption.
Well, note the reaction of the crowd. Did you detect universal support for this movement? Cheers of, yes, you go, Just Stop Oil, we're right behind you. Or did you hear what I heard, which is loud, relentless booing, jeering and abusive shouts from a public sick and tired of this? It's another PR own goal from a protest group which seems determined to become the most hated in modern history. And elsewhere in annoying protests, anti-monarchist demonstrators targeted King Charles in Edinburgh today. Here they are with their trademark yellow T-shirts and placards as the King arrived at St Giles Cathedral. How many people do you think they won over today? Do you think there were anyone in the crowd going, you know what, I've actually gone off the Royals. I think I'll join the movement. I doubt it. Well, I'm joined now by a friend of the show, Riz Possnett from the anti-monarchy group Republic, and also by the Green Tycoon and Just Stop Oil backer, Dale Vince. So Dale, Vince, well, welcome to both of you. But Dale, let me start with you. Trevor Nielsen, who is a big supporter of groups like Just Stop Oil, came out in the Sunday Times last week and said it's become disruption for the sake of disruption. Working people trying to get to their jobs, dropping kids off at school, or just enjoying themselves. There's now a case where pink-haired, tattooed and pierced protesters stand in front of the cars so their kid is late, for example. It's just performative. It's not accomplishing anything. I actually believe it's become counterproductive. And I just feel like that has to be said by someone involved in the beginnings of what it's become. This is going to require an immensely difficult navigation of the middle, and the activists are ostracising the exact people they need to engage. They're creating an excuse for people to stay on the sidelines. Blocking bridges, he said, is a lot easier than building bridges, and that's what we need to do if we're going to succeed. I think he's right, isn't he? I mean, I just don't see any upside now to what these Just Stop Oil protesters are doing. They are deliberately wrecking ordinary people's, in many cases, hard-earned enjoyment, watching sport that they love. And for what?
My turn?
Yeah.
I think it is. So, look, I think your language is exaggerating, right? They haven't wrecked sport. They aren't wrecking people's lives. The climate crisis is wrecking people's lives. It has killed 4 million people already, and it does make 20 million people every year homeless, right? I call that disruption. Cricket was about 3 minutes. Today, there was more disruption at Wimbledon from the rain than there was from the protest. So I think you're making much of it. I think they are doing a good job because they continue to put this issue on the news agenda.
But everybody hates them.
Again, an exaggeration.
Well, it's not an exaggeration. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the crowd. Here.
Okay, that's not everybody, is it, Piers?
There's no one cheering.
That's the crowd at Wimbledon.
There's not a single person applauding
That's the
or
crowd
cheering.
at Wimbledon.
Right. That whole crowd at Wimbledon, like the whole crowd at Lord's, I was there for that. Like all the crowds at all these events that they're wrecking or trying to wreck with their attention seeking. The truth is the British public are absolutely sick and tired of this. It's just not working. Trevor Nielsen's right. It's backfiring. It's seen as performative, seen as attention-seeking, and it is destroying bridges rather than building them. The strategy isn't working.
I disagree with you and with Trevor. I think performative art has a powerful role in our society, actually, in shaping how we think about things and what we think. And I think that these very brave people are putting themselves in harm's way and creating constant media attention for the climate issue, which we have to have because it's doing such great harm and it's driven by fossil fuels. And our government are intent on drilling for more oil and gas to make the problem worse. What they're going to do, excuse me, is harm people, actual harm to people, their lives and their livelihoods by drilling the North Sea for more oil and gas. They're going against the scientific consensus and the political consensus globally to do this foolish thing, claiming it will lower energy bills, which is a lie because they know that they can't do that because fossil fuels are priced by global markets. We allow that.
So again, like I said to you last time, I have a lot of sympathy with a lot of the arguments. I think we should do a lot more than we're doing as a globe, although my real issue is with countries like China and India, who are by far the worst polluters in the world. It's not actually the UK. And I don't see any of these heroic protesters getting on a plane to Beijing or to Moscow or to Mumbai. There's a moral cowardice about this. They're targeting a country which actually has been doing more than almost any other to be progressive in this area. But aside from that, if you're going to have a movement, you've got to bring people with you. I don't know anybody, literally anyone, who is watching these scenes time and again at all these sporting events and thinking, that's going to make me join this movement. It actively puts people off.
Okay, how about some facts on China? Because it comes up all of the time. What about China? The per capita carbon emissions of the people in China are tiny, right? Way smaller than they are in Britain. And just last week, it was announced that China has built more solar panels than the rest of the world put together, right? Which includes Britain. And they're at 50% green electricity on their grid now. And that's for a country of over 1 billion people.
And what percentage, all right, but what percentage of pollution,
at a hell of a rate.
What percentage of the global pollution comes from China?
Bear in mind, it's 1.1 billion people making most of the world's stuff, including the stuff that we have here. So
of
they
the
are
world's
a big
pollution
polluter,
comes from
absolutely.
China?
Tell me.
No, you tell me. You're the expert.
I'm telling you, per capita, as an individual
Not per
person,
capita,
it's a tiny
percentage of
footprint.
global
That's important.
Percentage
That's important.
of global pollution.
There are 8 billion. No.
You don't want to tell me, do you?
There are 8 billion people on this planet. I'm telling you I don't know. You should tell me, right? I'm telling you I don't care. Per capita,
you
it's
don't
tiny,
care that
and we should
China
have a fair
is
share
by
of the
far
carbon
the biggest
footprint
polluter in the world.
globally. They built more solar power than the rest of the world put together, Piers, and they're at 50% green on their electricity grid. I say those are amazing achievements when you say, what about China?
Yeah, I say they produce more than a quarter of the world's pollution. And I don't see anyone from Greta Thunberg to you guys getting out there to Beijing and shouting at them or wrecking their sporting events. And we all know why. Let's bring in Riz, who's chuckling away because you find all this terribly amusing. Riz, you supported Just Stop Oil. No one at Wimbledon today supports Just Stop Oil. They just think you're a bunch of idiots. I know you weren't there today. You were shouting at the Royals up in Scotland. Why do you support this kind of protest that we're seeing at all these sporting events?
Oh, I'm not sure I've completely condoned that. And to be clear, I'm not speaking on behalf of Republic today. I speak on behalf of No More Royals. But absolutely, we are protesting in Scotland. And Piers, you're gonna, you've just been going on at these guys at Just Stop Oil about why are you disrupting ordinary people and why don't you target the right thing? And we've been doing that, shouting at the king.
Why do you support that method of protesting? Why don't you come out and condemn Just Stop Oil like Trevor Nielsen, who was funding some of this stuff before, has suddenly realised the penny's dropped, it doesn't work?
I'd like to talk about coronation because it's but to respond to that question, we're in a climate crisis. It's horrifying. I'm terrified for my future, and Just Stop Oil are one of the only groups of people at the moment who are doing anything about that. But as I say, I'd like to focus on the issue.
Well, I'm sure you would. I'd like to focus on what's just happened because it's indicative of a summer of protest by people who think that they can convert people to their cause. Even if people are inclined to do so, we're now at a point where you can tell from the audience reactions at these events, they literally want to garrote them. And what worries me is it is going to lead to bad situations if this carries on because people are just going to take the law into their own hands.
Sorry, that's stupid. Sorry, I
you
actually
don't have to keep
know
swearing,
what to say to that.
Riz, with respect.
Do you want to talk about the protest?
Riz,
yeah,
you
apologies,
don't
fair
have to
enough.
keep swearing.
Do you want to talk about the protest,
Yeah.
or do you want to say that protests shouldn't happen and we should all suck it up and deal with it? Because that's easy for you, right? Like, you've been dealt a pretty good hand.
I believe
So
in
have I,
peaceful
by the way.
protest.
But I actually care.
I believe in peaceful protest.
So do you want to talk about the peaceful protest today?
I believe
then?
in
Do you wanna
peaceful
talk about it?
protest. I don't believe in wrecking ordinary people's lives as they're going to work, as they're going to hospital, as they, on some cases, going to funerals. I don't think that when they pay
Cool,
for
yeah.
sporting events that they maybe save money for all year long.
That's fine,
they
because
should have
neither
those, they should
Republic or
have
No
those
More Royals
ruined.
did that today. I'd love
They shouldn't
to
have
talk
it
about
ruined by a bunch of...
Let's talk about it. There was Republic up at one end who were a massive crowd, far bigger than any of the monarchists. I mean, the streets are pretty much empty. I haven't had a chance yet to look at any of the coverage,
yeah,
but I think
sure.
you'll see that because there is pretty much nothing going on the monarchist end, and the Republic demo is enormous. And then there's No More Royals, who did a banner drop, chanting, can I swear? I just did. The king, feed the hungry, because that's what we want to talk about, right?
You know what?
This
You know
is
what, Riz?
outrageous.
For a very...
They've done this.
You know what, Riz? For a bright young woman who's getting a very good, expensive education, you do behave like a complete foul-mouthed idiot. You don't do yourself any favours. Why do you think coming on a show like this and just repeatedly using the F word, why do you think that makes you look any better?
Yeah, I did apologise for that.
You've
I
done
did
it 3
apologise for that
times.
in advance, but
3 times.
that was what we said.
3
Okay,
times.
Yeah, F the king. Yeah, I'm happy to censor it.
Yeah.
F the king, feed the hungry. That's what we were chanting. Because that's what we should be talking about today. The first coronation was ridiculous. It was a slap in the face of the British people.
You asked for a question. It's this. Do you really think the best way to persuade people of your argument is to come on a show like this, laugh manically at people who are doing ruinous things to people's enjoyment, and then just keep swearing all the time? Do you think that really helps you? Do you think people watch this and go, she's really persuaded me, that girl? Wow, she was so eloquent, she was effective. They don't. They just think it's, again, performative, attention-seeking. You want to get your little YouTube moment, and by the way, you'll probably get one, and good for you, but no one's going to come round to your cause. That's it. I can promise you.
Fair enough. I actually don't want that YouTube moment. I don't want your fans calling me assorted slurs on Twitter. And to be fair, right, I did say at multiple points, can we talk about the issue? Can we talk about this outrageous... By the way, I don't think we've even mentioned I'm in Edinburgh.
Right.
There's been a second coronation and no one showed up. You know, I can only apologise for the swearing, but I think the laughing was more to do with your ridiculous coverage of it.
All
to
right.
be
Well,
honest.
as always,
Sorry about that.
always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much.